This is D&D in a Castle. Hello and welcome to this very special edition of How to Be a Great GM. My name is Guy and today we're going to be looking at what I had been planning and what actually happened at D&D in a Castle, which happens in Lumley Castle in England over the course of the year. Now, I happen to be there in the last session in October, and that's where I currently am. I'm in the castle. What a spectacular setting for a D&D game. But what actually happens here? And what is it like to play in a game of D&D in a castle? Well, that's what this video is all about, as well as you're going to see all of the bits and pieces that I took with me to make this truly a memorable game for everyone. And here's a bit of a spoiler. I haven't had such a fun game around the table since I was last in D&D in a Castle in March.
I played Delilah Everstone, ending of the campaign Admiral Delilah Everstone. My character's journey started off as a guard of the city who has a strenuous relationship with her captain of the guard father, and set out to prove herself, and at the very end saved the world and became admiral.
I played Obuthobobo, a Goliath druid, Circle of the Stars. He left his mountaintop at the start of this adventure, and by the end of it he had been through space to another world, to this dreamscape that changed his very belief system.
I played Vormus Leandros, an elf warlock.
I was playing Alanil Dalaron, who was he started out as a third level bard, College of Eloquence.
One of my favorite classes, I was a druid, half-elf, Circle of the Land. It was awesome. Wild shaping left and right, tricking people, which is not usual for her, overthrowing governments a little, I guess, and saving nations. So, you know, the usual.
So when I was initially thinking about running the game, it's 6 sessions of 4 hours each, and to try and come up with an adventure that would fit that was a little bit of a trick. Now, I had found these amazing stones in the south of England in a little town called Charmouth, and I wanted to do something with that. Generally speaking, with only 6 sessions, you have to give your players a very quick intro in the first session, and the last session is the climax. So you only have 4 usable sessions in which to actually run the game. Generally, the idea was that the players were going to discover the stone had been stolen or shattered and taken to different places around the map, where they could then go and get them, effectively 4 different missions, and using my 4 different adventure types, it was going to be a discovery, a collecting, a delivery, and a thwarting that was going to get them those stones. And then they would fight against some kind of big bad. Well, things started to change the moment I arrived at the castle, not because of the players, but because of what was happening at the castle. Jeremy Crawford, the rules architect for D&D, was here and asked me very politely if he could run a session during my 6 sessions. Well, one does not say no to the man who makes the rules, and so I only had 5 sessions. Further to that, the NPCs, live actors who were at our beck and call, I gave free rein to add to my game. And so the very first NPC that I had playing Captain Scarlet, the first nemesis that I had set up, well, let's just say she improvised a brotherhood-sisterhood rivalry that changed the nature of the game. It was an absolute delight. So the idea was that they were going to get these stones scattered across the globe and they would have to go and fetch them. Then another player pointed out that they thought this was a spell-jamming campaign, and so I needed to add in a space situation because, well, why not? And I'm so glad that I did.
We had to retrieve an item that had been shattered and stolen and taken to another planet.
Was that what you had expected coming into the game?
Absolutely not.
Was it still fun?
Absolutely.
What was his statement about ships in space?
The main one was, I want to go home. There were some heavy moments, conscience shattering, but there was a lot of fun to it. And it was The adventure itself was very fun. There was a moment where we were fleeing in space, our space battle, rather than choosing to fight, and it was lively and it was entertaining. While there was definitely tense moments to it, it was more of that raucous, swashbuckling fun that you expect on a pirate ship in space.
So this is my D&D in a Castle setup for the game that I was running for my players. I made use of quite a lot of different products, and I'm going to just walk you through how each of them contributed to the game. Firstly, starting with the flat maps, these we use the epic battle maps, which we created for Grathan Keep. This was the starting point for our hero's journey, where the Sunstone had been attacked and destroyed, broken into hundreds of fragments, by the evil Captain Scolyard and his sister, Captain Scarlet. Our heroes were hired by the king to immediately go and retrieve the shards of the Sunstone that had been taken from Grathan Keep. In order to facilitate this, they were put onto a ship. Now, these beautiful ship models, this one I customized myself so that it has multiple areas. These beautiful wooden ship models come from TT Scenics, which are available worldwide and come in a variety of sizes. The ships proved pivotal for the heroes as they sailed between the world of Grathan up and into the great voids between worlds, and then arrived at the mysterious world of Carasir. Carasir, this map made in Wonderdraft many, many years ago, printed out and then covered in various bits and pieces. The map of Carasir was the inspiration in the book, The Complete Guide to Nautical Campaigns. And so our heroes found themselves sailing around on this beautiful ship, the Sun Seeker, as they desperately tried to track down the dastardly Captain Scolyard, using a battle map provided by WizKids, wonderful ocean battle map with a very subtle grid on it, which makes it perfect for nautical kind of battles. In order to keep track of my players' initiative, I had my GM screen set up over there with portraits made of each of the player characters based on their descriptions, made in portrait works and then attached. The monsters did not get such treatment. The DM screen itself is from Dragon Shield role-playing accessories was that wonderful GM screen, and they came up with the initiative tracker as well, which allows you to pull cards and swap around initiative based on who's acting when. Now, if we go behind the DM screen, where all the chaos was happening, I was running the game using the Complete Guide to Nautical Campaigns Nautical Ship Rules DM screen, which I had printed out and added into this wonderful, wonderful layout from Dragon Shield. And that allowed me to control the battles and things that were taking place down there, along with the cards that were produced for the Nautical Campaigns book. Now, the shards that the players were after, these beautiful stones, was just a curiosity item that I had found on the coast of Charmouth in the south of England, and thought that would make a cool thing. I don't know what it's for until I realized I could use it as bits of the Sun Shield. I then had my trusty old laptop over there running D&D Beyond, as well as some other bits and bobs. Music particularly was added to the whole thing to bring this entire thing to life. Then in terms of the miniatures, I needed lots of miniatures. And so Epic Encounters was my go-to for just boxes and boxes of the most beautiful, beautiful minis.
And even things like this, where we just had like the water map and the lovely model of the ship, it's just enough for your brain to hang on to and provide this really vivid sort of mental picture, especially like when we were traveling into the Crab Nebula. It was just spectacular just to have the ship, even though it wasn't moving around and flying or whatever, but it really anchored us in that space. It was extraordinary.
A few big shout-outs that I have to make to some very good friends of mine, Henry and Erica, who spent many a night building all of these wonderful,
wooden ships for me, as well as Derek, who came along and helped build the castle, which never ended up being used, but certainly was on hand if needed. They built these beautiful ships and wooden models together. And that was a very kind act because these ships came in very, very handy. And then to Monica, one of my fellow players, made all of these wonderful crates and barrels and things that were all over the deck and allowed the players to take some advantages, gain some height, hide behind things, and generally throw overboard to hinder the approach of the enemy ships. Now, what makes D&D in a Castle such an experience is not only do we get to play with all of these wonderful, wonderful products and items, which were all sponsored for this particular event, so a big thank you to the sponsors, is the location, the castle itself.
Being able to play in this setting, having, I think we had 6 sessions in a row, which was just extraordinary, with NPC actors coming in every now and then a whole separate session which had us touring around the castle, where the DM was able to say, "Oh yeah, we've measured this room. It's a 20-foot ceiling." It was just incredible, so immersive.
It's very weird because there's a ghost that lives here in the castle, and every day, for whatever reason, I kept walking past her little well, and I would always look down to see if she's there. I never saw her, but I felt connected to her because I saw her spot all the time. I kept walking past it.
When you talk about an immersion event, this is just really like taking that to the next level. Waking up and knowing that your game is in this amazing place with these amazing vistas right out the window. You're not seeing, your mundane neighbor's house. You're seeing like this amazing countryside and this amazing foliage, and just the stone and like, oh, we're in a keep. We're literally in a keep. Like it was so good.
The environment was not the biggest draw for me, though. Having an environment with so many gamers around and people that understand what D&D is all about and are into the role playing, and to me that was really the bigger draw than just the physical castle.
I've never come into a space where I can immediately just be friendly and goofy with people I've never met before. Two of the players were like, "You're welcome in our house anytime in Boston," and I feel the exact same way with everyone at my table.
The rest of them, I had no idea who they were, and I'm literally ride or die for them all now.
I actually wasn't quite sure what to expect. I was like, "Oh, we're just gonna come in and sit down at a table with professional DMs and that'd be it." I wasn't expecting all the extra stuff. On the second night, we had a ball, and we got to dress up in costumes or nice clothes, and we went on a scavenger hunt. We had to do a game, and then we got a letter with riddles where we'd meet NPCs, and those NPCs would change what happened in our individual campaigns.
We interacted with another NPC a little later on, and that gave a more creepy vibe. It was the same person playing that NPC, but she was very good at creating different characters for us and different vibes from each of those characters.
I don't know, there were so many great things. I can't, it was a lot. It was so good.
It's hard, there was so much packed into 3 days. It's a little hard to sort out sometimes.
I might do it again.
And so that, in a nutshell, is what happens at D&D in a castle. If you're watching this video and you think it could be something for you, there are new sessions that will run next year, starting in March throughout the year. So head on over to the website, D&D in a Castle, to check out all available slots and all of the amazing DMs who are going to be there. If you found this video interesting or enlightening in any shape or form, or perhaps it's inspired you to take your game to the next level, well, hit that like button and, of course, the subscribe button button if you're not already subscribed. Until the next video, all that remains for me to say is a massive thank you to all of you for watching all the way through to the end, of course to our Patreons who keep the channel going, and to everybody who joined me at D&D in a Castle, my amazing players, the wonderful NPCs, my fellow DMs, and of course the organizers of D&D in a Castle. A massive thank you for making, well, to be perfectly honest with you, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity come true. Until next time, happy gaming.